everybody, and welcome to the Texas Real Estate and Finance Podcast. I am your host, Mike Mills, local mortgage banker here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And today we are visiting with a good friend of the show who's been here the most appearances of anybody. I don't know if we're up to 6 or 7 at this point.
Record appearances.
But we're going to chat a little bit today about the housing market, kind of interest rates, housing affordability, all kinds of stuff. We're kind of spitballing today because there's a lot of topics I want to discuss, and having Conrad here is going to make it easier for us to chat. So let's welcome Conrad to the show. Hello, Conrad. Damn, it's loud.
Thank you for that huge applause.
That was loud. I gotta watch my volumes over here.
I know, man, that was loud. Before we get into anything important, let's talk about something that's more important. The Mavs and this trade. Did you see it?
Yes, I just saw it come across a minute ago. Yes.
So Grant Williams, Seth Curry, a first-round pick for PJ Washington.
Okay, how you feel about
with
that?
The Hornets.
A resident basketball expert.
Man, you know what? I think I like it.
Okay.
I think I like it. You know, PJ Washington is another threat. It's another bucket that we can get. Grant gave us some good minutes, but PJ can do more than what Grant can do.
Okay.
The pick is the pick. I mean, you get picks, you give
never
picks.
Know.
It is what it is. Yeah. But man, I really think I like that trade.
Okay. Well, I mean, time will tell on all that stuff. And I don't pay enough attention until the Mavs get to the playoffs typically to see what's going on. Although it's looking like with their record lately that's diminishing every day.
Well, we need another scorer. We need another threat. Kyrie's been hurt.
Yeah.
So getting him back recently has helped a little bit. Luka's been playing out of his mind just because that's what he does.
He can't do it by himself.
He can't carry the team the whole season in the playoffs. So we need somebody to take the load off when he needs a rest. And it sounds like they're making an attempt to do that, which I appreciate as a Mavs fan.
They're trying. All you can do is try, right? You can't just sit on your thumbs, see how it works out. I mean, anything's better than watching the Cowboys play. So
man, so disappointing.
Yuck.
Cowboy. Come on, Jerry.
That was horrible.
Figure it out, man. I need you to figure out. Look at what Cuban's doing with these trades, man. He's trying to make moves, move some pieces around. All these guys floating around all season. We don't pick up anybody.
Oh, Cuban's not really,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sold the team.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still running the show, but
hotel coming soon, casino coming soon.
What do you mean? They haven't passed any laws yet about casinos. What are you talking about? Are you sure? Because
sure.
I mean, it seems odd that Jerry Jones is partnered up with WinStar and Cuban just sold the teams to a casino magnate. And then did you see that they're building they're on Lake Texoma.
Yeah.
They're building like $1 billion Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville resort on the Texas side of Lake Texoma.
Nice. It's
on the Oklahoma side of Lake Texoma, they are building a Hard Rock casino, restaurant, hotel. Okay.
I had an opportunity, and this sucks because I'm kicking myself. There was like 3.8 acres, just like the last exit before you get to Lake Texoma. The guy had built a cabin, right? I actually had some friends who stayed in that cabin shortly afterwards. But the 3.8 acres had I want to say he had it projected out where you could build like 7 little cabins on that property. And it was literally the last turn before you got to the lake. So you could actually walk to the lake if you didn't mind walking 10, 15 minutes or whatnot down the road. And it was a great deal. And I was thinking, man, I should do this. But I didn't know anything about Lake Texoma or that area or anything. Yeah. So I didn't do it. And now I'm like,
hindsight's always 20/20, man. Hindsight's 20/20. Well, and so they already said they're putting a casino in the Hard Rock.
Yeah.
They've already said that.
Yeah.
And the article said no plans yet for putting it on the Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville side. So if you don't think they're bringing casinos to Texas,
it's coming.
It's coming.
Man.
It's just a matter of when.
I actually had that conversation with one of my clients here in the last month. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about it. He's got a house that's over in Irving, and good friend of mine, man. And we talked about it. We talked about he's renting his house out. It's dang near brand new house, but he's renting it out. And he was like, man, do I put it up for sale or for lease? We looked at the for sale comps and they were monumental. I mean, monumental from where he bought it 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just appreciation. He's right there in the midst of the highways. Every great location. And I said, man, that's a lot of money. He said, what do you think? I said, well, I feel like if we were to get a casino for this new Mavs deal, it's going to go across the street from you.
Yeah.
So we decided to lease it.
Yes. Keep it. Keep it. It's going up. It's going up. And you know what? That all bleeds into what we want to talk about today is like market knowledge, right?
Yeah.
Like as realtors today, buying and selling, people are hesitant because rates are high.
Yeah.
People are hesitant because there's not a ton of homes available that they can find and they don't know what to do. So they're going to agents and they're asking, should I buy right now? Should I sell right now? What should I do? And knowing things like this and being conscious of what's happening in particular areas and where builders are going into and if they're building a casino across the street from your rental property, if that's going to make sense to hold on to it. These are things that you need to know as an agent and being an expert in an area in order to properly guide your buyers and sellers.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
And so I want to talk about something that we chatted about before we started the show, which is, we're moving into 2024, right? 2023 sucked. I mean, it just sucked. It sucked for everybody. Okay. Yeah. I'm sure there's a few people out there like, I had the best year of my career. Okay, great. Right. It's fine.
Congratulations.
All right. Congratulations to you. But you're not the norm. Okay. So you exist. I'm sure you're there. Congratulations. Way to go. But most people, most agents, most lenders, most title companies, everybody was sucking wind in 2023.
Yeah.
Right. So, but why do you think it is that when you go on Instagram, you go on Facebook, you go on all the social media platforms, it looks like everybody's living their best life and doing great. And then realtors, lenders, everybody compares themselves and says that person's doing amazing and I'm not. I know I'm not. So I might as well just quit because obviously I'm not good at this business.
Yeah. Yeah. I've said it before, even on this show, man, perception is reality for most people. So they're trying to make you perceive that. They're trying to give the image that, hey, I'm okay. I'm still killing it.
Yeah.
Because if I'm still killing it, you're going to want to use me before you use the next person. And realistically, people have already decided whether or not they want to use you, whether you're killing it or not.
Yeah.
People have the relationship or they form their opinion about you already. And so I try to tell folks, man, just be yourself, like you said, 2023 was a hard year.
Yeah.
My whole team was down last year from the previous year.
Yeah.
And you're talking about anywhere from 40 to 50% down.
Yes.
And most of it came in the last quarter of the year. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. Yeah. But it's a tough business. And like we talked about, man, our realtors, lenders, we're in the same areas, we're selling the same streets, we're selling the same neighborhoods, we're competing against each other and with the same people, so I mean, if you're just killing it, what's your secret versus the other 99% that are out here doing the same things that you're doing or similar things, not to say that nobody can't kill it in a market like we're trying to come out of, but man, you don't have to give that perception that I'm untouchable.
Yeah. Well, or even just the fact that if you're an agent and you're seeing people online and you're thinking and you're comparing what you're doing to what they're doing, it's not the way to do it. Because you don't know that what they're telling you is true, number one, or just giving. I mean, I've seen agents before post contracts that they've closed or houses they've done multiple times, like the same property with a different picture, different whatever. And look, I'm not hating on you. Like, do what you got to do. Like, make your world reality. Like, I'm fine with it. But if you're looking at that and you're seeing that and you're going, man, I'm just not. Yeah, I'm not making it.
I did that a lot especially when I first started in real estate, and there was particular agents in our area that were just selling so many homes, and every time they sold, the number went up, the number went up, the number went up, and it's just you're talking about like 150 plus, 200, and it's just like, how are they doing it? Why am I not able to do that? And then you dig a little deeper and you start to get the backstory. Is that particular person I was comparing to, they basically are charging nothing for their sales.
Yes.
They're paying high referral fees, or they're just not charging hardly anything, just a small transaction fee in order for you to use them as their agent. And so it was basically just volume with no substance attached. And I'm just like, how do they make a living? You don't know that.
No.
Without having that backstory or that information, but it's just like, that's why you shouldn't compare.
Yeah.
You should just work.
No. Just work. Just do you, do the best version of you can do every day and get up and work and go do. I mean, we were talking about, the reason my voice sounds like crap right now is because like, I don't know, my whole family's been sick. I avoided it for the most part, but woke up with a hoarse voice today. But everybody's getting sick around you. Everybody's, it seems like these days, like the last 2 weeks, like everybody I talk to is sick for a long time. But even like we were saying beforehand, like I still got to get up. I got to get up. I got to do work tomorrow. Whatever, how I feel, like you got to keep grinding. It's just what it is.
Yeah. That's the secret to success. I feel like if you can just get through it, just weather the storm. We're having the last quarter of 2023 was tough, man. For sales, for inventory, for everything on the build side, on the investment side, just everything was tough.
Yes.
Right. And I just kept telling folks in my circle, I'm just like, look, just weather the storm.
Yeah.
If you can weather the storm, just keep showing up. If you keep showing up, I guarantee you make it through this. And if you make it through it, you'll look back and say, man, if I can survive that, I can survive anything.
Yeah.
Because that was tough. Yeah. Even for us, man, like it was just no homes moving.
Yeah.
I had all these listings and they're just sitting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong.
No, it's the market. Well, and it's kind of like, a little bit of Darwinism at its finest in that, if you take a single-celled organism in a pool of water and they're all thriving because the environment's great and they're doing awesome and they're multiplying and they're having other organisms, whatever. And then something changes in that environment that those organisms have zero control over, right? They have no control over, but something changes, whether the temperature changes 2 degrees or a new, bacteria gets added to it or whatever. A good portion of those organisms are going to die off because they can't adapt to the change in the environment. And then another portion of them are going to survive and they're going to thrive because there's something else about them. There's something in their genes, whatever, that allows them to survive that change in environment. And the truth is that we went through 3 years of, really 2020, 2021, and most of 2022.
Yeah.
We went through 3 years of just insane growth.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody in their dog was getting into our business.
For sure.
I actually, we had an event at the Arlington Board of Realtors yesterday and had a speaker come in and he had a great analogy and I really liked it. He was talking about comparing it to double Dutch. Okay. And he was saying that when you do double Dutch, you got 2 ropes going. Well, when it's going fast, and if you're good at getting in and out when it's fast, you look like a pro. Like those ropes are swinging, you're moving, you're bouncing, you're in and out. But then the moment the ropes start to slow down, because you're just used to going fast, and now you don't know how to adapt your movements because things are going slower.
Yeah.
And then you're not as good at what you did before because you only knew how to operate when it was going at full speed.
Yeah.
And so having to figure out how to change your business model, what you do on your day-to-day activities whenever things are down. And not only that, but getting your head in a place to where you're not waking up every day, poor me, this life's not working out for me. The world hates me, all that kind of stuff. Like you got to get past that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a big indicating factor of how you're going to be able to perform also is if you turn on the TV and it's terrible, it's slow, it's terrible, it's slow. And then you get out and you're like, man, do I even want to do this?
Yeah.
And then when I do want to do it, oh man, but it's slow. So I made 1 call a day. That's good enough, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to 10 calls. I made 1 or 30 or whatever. I did 2. So it's one of those things where you just kind of have to get out of your own head, stay focused, stay positive. Yeah. But be realistic. You don't have to go on Instagram saying, hey, I sold more homes than anybody else when you really didn't.
You're right. Yes. Well, you even said, and I hope you don't mind me saying, but you've been doing this a long time, right? 20 plus years at this point.
No, I'm at 18.
Okay.
Well,
we'll round up.
shoot. No, this is your 19.
Yeah, we'll round up.
Yeah, we'll
round
20.
up. You're at 20. All right. So we've been through the crazy times before 08 and what happened there. Yeah. You've been through what happened in 08 and all the lead up to that and in the fall. And I think you told me there hasn't been a month in your career, right, that you had not closed at least one
in the last decade.
Yes.
That I didn't close 1 house.
Yes.
And in this past August, no closings.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just like, man, what is going on?
Right. And don't look, don't get me wrong. You're going to second guess yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sitting in there like, man,
what am I doing?
Am I good at this anymore? Like, am I not motivated? Like, I swear I made the calls. I swear I had the listings. It just didn't work out, So it's just one of those where you got to kind of pull yourself together and be like, okay, no.
Yeah.
Just get out of your own head.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and that's the time when, it's almost kind of a gift in that you're given time now, right?
Yeah.
Now you have time, right? So if you have time, then what are you going to do to take advantage of that time?
Exactly.
Right? Are you going to ramp up your marketing efforts? Are you going to network with more people, make more phone calls?
Right.
Like, what are you going to do in that dead time? Or are you just going to sulk and feel sorry for yourself? Or, and this is what a lot of people do, is they find other things to busy themselves with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not closing loans, or I'm not closing buyers or sellers. So I'm going to remodel my back porch, or I'm going to, go.
Usually everything involves spending money too.
Yes. I need to go buy this new thing that's going to help me at my house or what. But you just kind of find busy work to do.
Yeah.
And then you get so wrapped in doing all of the busy work that you look up, and 4 months later, you've literally done nothing to build your business.
Yeah. And that's the one thing that, like, when I went through that in August, where it's like, all right, I didn't close one home, and I, halfway through the month, okay,
yeah, it's not
going to happen.
Yeah, you're hoping like August.
You're like, man, 5th, give me something cash that can close quickly, but I'll throw an investment in here. I'll put that up I was doing that too. I was putting my investment properties up for sale.
Let me get a closing
just to see if I could get something going,
yes,
and it's like they weren't moving either. No. So it's just like, oh man, are my properties any good?
Yes.
I put them up for like, you start to question yourself. But that was, halfway through the month, if you've gotten to that far and it's not going to happen, I started to get scared and like, all right, well, I cannot have this 2 months in a row, because pride starts to take over.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this way too long for me to have 2 months of nothing, you know? So, and then you start to kick it into high gear. Okay, well, if I need to make 10 calls a day, now I got to double it up. I got to make 20, I got to make 25, I got to make 30. I got to do whatever it takes to get these things on the books to make sure that we're, being productive with our day and our week, so that way we don't see the same results every month and it just spiral out of control.
Well, and on that too, I want to be clear. Anybody listening to this, Conrad saying I didn't have a closing, in the last 10 years in 1 month, and this is the first time. And so some people are going, even during my best years, I'd go 2 months without a closing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You have to understand everything is about who you are. Goes back to don't compare yourself to other people, right? If the success for you is closing 6 loans or closing 6 buyers or sellers throughout a 12-month period and making 50, 60, 80,000, whatever it is that you make, and you're happy with that, and that gives you time with your family and gives you time to then that's great. There is no, you don't need to sell one every single month. You don't need to. It's that goes back to you focusing on you and what makes you happy and what makes you successful, and not comparing your success to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because their definition of success versus your definition of success can be completely different. And that's perfectly fine.
For sure.
Because Conrad's got 12 kids and a wife and 25 rental properties and apartment
kids, everything. Like I need to be selling houses every single day. Yes. Put it like that.
Yes. You don't have a choice. I had one of my boss from my back in the day who I loved to death still, but he told me a long time ago, he's like, you want motivation to go sell? He's like, go buy a car. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, because now you got to pay that bill. So you want some, now I'm not recommending that. Don't go out and buy a car, but I'm saying whatever your motivation is to get you out of bed every morning that you need to get going, you got to find it.
You got to find it, man. There's plenty of opportunities to have motivation to get out of bed and go to work.
Yes.
You just got to open your eyes, man.
Yeah.
You got to get out there. But
keep
yeah, man,
that's too stressed.
That is the key, man. We're just trying to, like I said, make sure that we're doing the right things, staying motivated, staying away from all the negativity. That's the hard part. These days.
Well, and you have to be aware of what's happening, right? Because we may get to some of there's a few things I'm maybe telling you today that might not sound, I'm being a little negative. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying here's what's going on.
Yeah.
And you have to be aware of it so you can prepare. What you have to keep the negative out is the negative in your world is to, like, I'm aware of situations, right? I'm aware that my car has a flat tire, right? But it doesn't mean that it's going to ruin my day. Like, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to get it taken care of. But having a flat tire out of nowhere is a negative thing. But if you just ignore it, you can't just drive around with your car and not have, it doesn't work. So you have to be conscious of what's happening around you, but you can't let it put a negative spin on everything else that you do all the time.
Sure. And just dwell in that negative environment for the rest of the day because of that one thing or two things that happened to you early or later on in the day. So,
because it will make you miserable. So I'm curious. So the biggest thing, we talk about it all the time is rates. Everybody's about rates, right? So I'm going to go into where rates are, where they're going, all that kind of stuff. But I want, from your point of view, because you're talking to buyers and sellers every day, what are you hearing as a realtor when you're talking to your clients on a regular basis? Are they asking about rates? Do they really care that much about it? Is it like, what's from their perspective, what's going on?
My sellers, so I had some sellers who, decided to list last year, and then they decided to take it off and wait and see how rates did, and then come back this year, which we've put them back on the market.
Because they were going to buy later, or because they just didn't know how well they'd be able to sell?
They didn't know how well they'd be able to sell.
Gotcha.
Right. And so the first thing that those sellers asked me is, what are the rates looking like? And how's that affecting people coming and look at these properties?
Yeah.
How will that affect my home?
Right.
And so I just tell them, hey, this is where the rates are. This is where I feel like it's going to go based off all the economic forecasting that people are saying. But ultimately, it's your decision. People will still have to buy and sell homes. And if you have a need, you need to, put that home out there the right way at the right time. And that's what they did. That's what they ultimately end up doing. But they're very conscious of it. The buyers are coming in saying, hey, we have an idea of where the rates are. We're going to try to get the seller to contribute some closing costs so that way we can get it down further. Mm-hmm. The builders are typically leading their advertisements with rate buy downs.
Yeah.
So, it's at the top of everybody's mind right now when they're trying to make a decision. And what was keeping people on the sidelines was the uncertainty of, is it going to go up again? Is it going to go up again? Now that it's kind of hovered and trickled down a little bit, now people are less, they're making less decisions based off of, is it going to go up again?
Right.
They're just saying, hey, am I comfortable at this price point?
Right.
And so that's what I'm seeing on the buy side and the sell side. On the investor side, rates don't matter, but they don't matter like it's your primary residence.
Yeah.
We're typically calculating our numbers, and the rate is just part of those numbers. And if those numbers work, we go ahead and
because rents are going up too.
Yeah, rents are going up, but also, people are very conscious about what they're paying on the rental side as well.
Yeah.
It's just I think the lack of inventory has forced rents to stair step their way in an upward tick, because people are wanting to rent longer. They're wanting to rent in places that they necessarily didn't want to rent before because it's affordable, as opposed to taking a higher rate and then turning around and buying something at a lower price than they typically were approved for.
Yeah.
So rates are still affecting everything. It's just a little bit different than it was, this time last year.
Well, so a couple things. So on the builder side of things, and this is, the most sales that occurred last year were on the builder side. They took up almost 50% of the market. And it wasn't necessarily because of the buy downs of rates, but it was because they were the only inventory.
They had product.
They had product, right? Because people were not moving out of their homes because they're sitting there with a 2 or 3% interest rate. And they're like, I'm not going anywhere unless I have to, right? Yeah. Now, the downside is they're also sitting on, something crazy like, and I have it right here. I'm looking, so right now, I saw this the other day. So 38.7% of people own their home free and clear right now.
Yeah.
So almost 40% of homeowners free and clear. Okay. It's crazy, right?
That's crazy, man.
Now that's also because, and I don't have this stat in front of me exactly, but it's something like 50 to 60% of homeowners are boomers. Like they have the money, right?
Yeah.
So 40% own it free and clear. Almost 30% have mortgages with 50% or more equity.
Yeah.
So they're sitting on a ton of equity, right? And then there's only about 30 to 33% of folks that have less than 50% equity.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a small, and most of those people bought within the last 3 years.
Well,
right?
Even for us, man, we bought our house. It'll be 5 years in April, and we're sitting on about 50% equity. I haven't done anything to it.
No,
it's just that, 2020, 2021, 2022 just supercharged the appreciation.
Yeah.
And now that hasn't gone away.
Yeah. Well, and here's something, I'm going to kind of go all over the place with this because my brain does this sometimes, and we'll get back onto rates in just a second. But you have to understand when you talk to your clients about housing, okay? We talk about, and I hate this, what was that thing everybody was saying? Buy the house, marry the house, date the rate. I hated that. All right. Not a fan of that statement. Okay. But not because doesn't have some element of truth to it. It simplifies things too much. Okay. Sure. You cannot predict where rates are going to go in the next 3 to 5 years. You just can't. Right. And to sell somebody on the idea that
you didn't do one of those videos.
No.
I saw about 17 of them.
Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I would certainly say, and this is why I still say buying is important, but it's not about hating the rate. It is about the fact that first off, our entire economy, okay, the US economy, since we came off the gold standard, is built on debt.
Yeah.
Okay. Our money gets created by debt. Regardless of what anybody thinks, that's how it works. All right. And I want to say, I saw this the other day. I always forget the numbers exactly, but let's say it's 70 to 80% of the debt that is created on housing.
Yeah.
All right. So for anybody that doesn't understand how this works, a bank that holds, let's say, $1 million in cash in the bank, all right, they can lend out $10 million worth of money to other individuals based on those based on the $1 million that they hold in reserves in their bank, something like that. Okay. So what that means is that $9 million, they just created it out of thin air. All right. It didn't come from anywhere.
Yeah.
It literally just created out of thin air.
Yeah.
All right. So most of that money gets lent on assets. Okay. Real estate, residential, commercial,
Yep.
even, stocks and commodities and things. That's where that money gets lent. People think that, small business makes up like 10% or less of the money that's created in our system, which really shouldn't be that way. It should be going towards generating, jobs that would actually benefit the economy.
Absolutely.
Right. But that's not how it works. It works as to the money that's being lent is primarily on real estate. So if our entire cash-based economy is built off of lending money on real estate and continued growth, then where is the best place to have your money?
Yeah, in real estate.
In real estate.
Come on now, people.
All the time. Okay. There's nobody that can argue that being. Now, if you want to take a small window of time, if you want to go back to 2009 and show like the growth of the market, I saw something the other day too, where it was showing like house appreciation. There was 1 year that it was down, and it was like 2009. It was down like 8% across the board. Everywhere else has been up.
Yeah.
Okay. If you owned a home and bought it 10 years ago, your equity on that property is through the roof. Okay. Yeah. And I can't imagine, I mean, I'm not a soothsayer. I don't have a crystal ball, but I can't imagine a world where that's not going to continue into the future.
Sure.
Right.
I mean, look at the same thing when I was in college, I used to work as a stockbroker for a company, and I was teaching people how to make trades. And I remember we came in one day and the Dow had dropped 1,000 points. You remember that? It was like 20. Yeah. Man, was that like 2010 or 2009?
Yeah, it was right during the Great Recession. Yeah.
So Dow dropped 1,000 points, right? And it's just like, okay, you look at that snippet of time, that month, and it's like, man, the stock market was horrible.
Yeah.
And then you look back 10 years, starting at that year, and you're like, it's pretty good. It keeps going up. It just continues to keep.
Well, and things change and shift. And that's another thing that I had written down in here too. Let's take the stock market. Okay. Right now, according to all economic indicators, the economy is booming.
Yeah.
All right. Booming.
Yeah.
All right. However, I would imagine that if you ask the average Joe on the street right now how the economy's doing,
especially if they just left the grocery store,
especially if he just left the grocery store, he's not saying it's going too great, right? But why is the stock market booming? Well, the stock market as a whole isn't. Okay, right now we have 7 stocks: Microsoft, Google, Nvidia, Facebook, Amazon, and Apple. Mm-hmm. There's one other, maybe Tesla, I think, is in that mix too. That makes up the vast majority of the growth that we've seen. I mean, it's something like 70% of the growth that we've seen in the stock market over the last 12 months. Okay. 7. Yeah. All right. And of those 7, one of them is really the big dog, which is Nvidia.
Yeah.
Nvidia is a company that produces chips. Yep. Okay. And with AI dominating everything like it has been, which it's going to get better or worse, depending on how you look at it. Okay. Their stock price is through the roof, and they're not even making any money, by the way. Okay. When you look at their earnings versus their share price, it's insane how much it's off. But everybody knows that that's where the market's going. All the other stocks, every other stock outside of those 7 is down. Yeah. All right. So if we're in any other period of time and you're measuring how the market's doing and those 7 companies don't exist, everybody's suffering. And then people go, well, why is that? Why is it being boosted that way? Well, the vast majority of the money that goes into the stock market comes from people's 401ks. Yeah. Okay. And those are managed by companies, not by individuals. Yeah. So they're always shifting money into the area for growth. So if all the money, and you have your portfolio manager that doesn't want you to fire him tomorrow because your portfolio is down 30%, he's shifting all of your money over into the things that are growing. All right. Well, the things that are growing are those 7 stocks.
Yeah.
So everything else falls off and those continue to grow. They can't do it forever. Yeah. There's always a little bit of correction that occurs.
Yep.
But that's where the growth is coming from there.
Here's a quick off topic. Well, kind of on topic, but kind of going off the rails a little bit. What are your thoughts about, you're a big thinker and a broad thinker. What are your thoughts about, okay, we're very chip reliant right now as a world.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on Taiwan and situation where it's like, all right, is that going to be okay? Or are we going to be able to produce enough chips here in the United States in order to be able to stay competitive? Because I feel like right now it's like whoever gets Taiwan is going to run the world.
Well, so I think we talked about this a little bit the last time, not this topic, but my philosophy on paying attention to those things is that there was a period of time where I was elbow deep into what I call politics porn.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what that is,
Yeah.
is what's happening in China, what's happening in Russia, what's happening with our relations with them, who's controlling Taiwan, who are we about to go to war with? And I still see it on the peripheral. And I know, we're about to start bombing a bunch of we've already bombed a bunch of countries over in the Middle East, with Iran being one of the main ones, all over what happened in Israel and Gaza. And yet somehow, just like 9/11 led us into having a war with Saudi Arabia or with Iraq, which, didn't really have anything to do with what happened, or a little bit, but not a lot. Same thing, you have Israel and Gaza and Palestine having that issue there. And then we're over there bombing Iran because they're tied to it. I mean, I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently on it. So let's be very clear. But so I'm sure there's somebody else like, that's wrong. This is how it is. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when it comes to the Taiwan and the chip manufacturing situation, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, because
does that scare you a little bit?
It does, and it doesn't. We have the biggest guns.
Real quick,
that's what I'll tell you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
Real quick summary for those who are listening or those who will listen that don't have an idea what the heck we're talking about. So Taiwan is probably the best and biggest manufacturer of chips. They have their whole country's ecosystem.
That's right.
For chip making.
Right.
So we are very dominant with all of our new technology, our iPhones, our Octavisions, everything that we do, computers.
Which is why you couldn't buy a car during the pandemic, because
cars, everything
was shut down.
Everything is chip necessary or chip reliant.
Yes.
And so Taiwan being the main manufacturer of these chips that we need, and the US kind of lagging behind Taiwan from what I've read, from what I listened to, and from what I'm told, from birth they start molding you to make these chips.
Yeah.
Your whole life is centered around you're going to make these chips.
Yeah.
And so from what I've heard, China is looking and very aggressive about wanting to control Taiwan and these chips, because the world is dominant on these chips. So if they get in control of these chips, and we can't manufacture the chips at the same rate, the same technology and everything, then we will be very dominant on, or very dependent on what China says.
Yes. Well, so
if they get control of Taiwan.
So there's 2 things happening there. Okay. One is, we as a country are told by the corporate media as often as possible that China is the big bad wolf. Okay. Just like Russia is the big bad wolf. Okay. We're the big bad wolf. Okay. First off, let's be real clear. And then, but we're told that we need to worry about this stuff. All right. If you don't watch this stuff every once in a while, China's economic situation is in a very, very bad place.
Yes.
Okay. Their real estate market has fallen off 50%.
Yeah.
Just in the last couple of months.
Their stock market.
They shut their stock market off, where you can't trade right now because their stock market is falling through the floor. Okay. They are in a world of shit. All right. They've got problems. They've got so many, their population's on dramatic decline, because their one-child policy that they had. Like, everything is falling off a cliff for them. They're not doing well. Right. Now, the good and bad of that is, the good of that is like, that's not a big concern, because they got bigger problems to worry about internally than going to try and get Taiwan.
Sure.
The bad part about that is when people get desperate and things start going south, they start doing stupid stuff. Right. So again, I don't know, but what I will tell you is that that's the least of my worries because I can't control that shit at all. Like,
but you also have to be kind of tapped in a little bit.
You got
what's going on.
paying
You're
attention.
like, all right, wait, hold on, what's going on? And then you see the government's like, all right, we're going to spend, I don't know how many billions in trying to have this company into.
Well, that's why NVIDIA's launched the way they have. Is
Yeah.
because we invested in the infrastructure.
We need to make chips here so that way we're not.
Which I'm on board with. Like,
I'm
let's
good with it too.
Let's do it. Let's do it. That's where things are
hilarious that we've got to this point where it's like, all right, so these guys have been making these chips for how long? Y'all didn't see this coming?
Hey, man, it's like the pandemic, right? Everything shuts down and all of a sudden we can't get medicine. And we're like, wait a minute. So you're telling me that we're relying on China to ship us all of our pharmaceuticals because they make them over there because it's, slave labor basically. And then we're like, oh, well, we didn't see that coming. Okay. And now I have to figure that out. It's all a mess, man.
It is. All right. I got us off topic.
And that goes back to controlling what you can control, right? Because that's one thing that's where I got off the politics porn is I used to be, oh man, I would every night.
Immersed.
Oh, dude, you want to talk to me about what's happening? I would know, I would be on, and I got all kinds of opinions. And then I was like, what the hell can I do about it?
Yeah.
Nothing, like literally nothing. So that goes back to, not being in a negative mindset all the time. Because if you watch that shit every day, you're going to be in a bad spot.
You're locked in.
Yes,
man.
you're going to be bad. Excuse me. But back to rates.
Yeah.
Right. So interest rates right now are like the average rate's about 7%.
Yeah.
Okay. That's where it is on average. That's where they're sitting currently. Where are they going to go? Well, there was a big sentiment in the market because back into fourth quarter, the Fed came out when they had their last meeting of the year and they told everybody they were going to start cutting rates this year. Okay. They told them that. Why did they tell us that? Because they never said that. They never said that they were, up until when the inflation was there, they said they were going to raise rates. But even as they were continually raising rates, they would never say the previous meeting that next meeting we're definitely raising rates.
Yeah.
Or next meeting we're definitely pausing. Or next meeting we're definitely cutting rates. Never said that. Now all of a sudden they're going, yeah, we're going to cut rates next year.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, good, but what? Like, I thought the economy was like killing it.
Yeah.
Thought we were booming.
Yeah.
Why would you cut rates if the economy's doing great? Right. Or do they know something that we don't know? Or that they're not telling us, right?
Probably a little bit of both.
Yes. It's a combination of incompetence and deception. But so the expectation was at the start of this year that we would see rates get down, that they thought the Fed said they were going to cut rates 3 times. That's what they said. But the market gets excited when they say they're going to cut rates. And there's a thing called the CME watch tools. The Fed, it's basically like picking odds on what the Fed's going to do. All right. And it plans it out for the year and tells you how many cuts. Well, at that time, the market thought that the rate was going to get cut 6 times this year.
Yeah. I
6
remember
times,
hearing 6.
right. And it was going to happen at the first cut was going to happen in March, 90% chance that it was going to happen in March. And maybe even happen in the last meeting, which was in February. Yeah. Or the first part of February. So that's what the market expectation was. All right. Well, then we get a jobs report that looks like everybody in the planet's got a great job and everything's humming along. The GDP was up like 3.5 or 6%, which is like, again, economy is just killing it. Right. And so everybody's going, well, wait a minute. If the economy's doing so great, Fed's not going to cut rates. So they come in February and they say, we're not cutting rates in March. They basically told them, They didn't quite say that, but they basically did. Or no, they said that we're still evaluating and it's not the time. And then the expectation of the rate cut went from 90% in March to like 30. Now it's at 30. And
odds change.
Yes. And anybody that pays attention to it, the likelihood that they're going to cut rates in March is very slim. Like it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
The most likely scenario right now is May and June, somewhere in there. Okay. But again, the market's doing awesome and our economy's doing great. Why are we cutting rates? Because you cut rates in times of recession. Well, let's look at the jobs report, right? Jobs report, they came out and said that we added 400,000 jobs to the economy, like 385.
Yeah.
But it was like 100,000 more than the expectation. So, it's like, I think I've told you before, it's like that commercial from Career Builder with all the chimpanzees in the office and they're all like high-fiving and celebrating and having a great time because the chart shows like going up and the one human in the room comes over and flips the chart. It's like, this is how it's supposed to be. And it's going down and they're like, what the hell? So it's bullshit is basically what I'm saying.
Need to put that commercial in the comments.
Oh God, I love it. It's my favorite one. I bring it up all the time. I talk about it too much. But But so they do this thing at this time of year for January where they make seasonal adjustments.
Yeah.
Okay. And what these seasonal adjustments are basically is they're saying that if at other times throughout the year, in order to balance out like birth death rates at this time, and it's very complicated, of course, so they can't make it simple as to tell you why they do this.
Nobody regular would be able to understand.
No.
So they don't.
So they don't really go in, because I looked, like I was like, let me explain these seasonal adjustments to me. Like I really want to understand what the hell they're talking about, and it's pretty tough. So so they showed that that we added, like I said, 350,000 jobs to the market in January. Okay, which is double the expectation, which was 180. All right. So, and they revised up previous jobs reports by 120,000 from previous months. Okay. So this seasonal adjustment, so the raw figure on jobs that were like the actual number, that jobs, we lost 2.63 million jobs. We actually lost that was the actual number. Okay. But they revised it up because of the seasonal adjustments to 2.98 million added, which put us to the positive of 350,000.
They graded us on a curve.
Yes. Graded you on a curve on adding jobs. Okay.
Good job to that one person that studied.
Yes. So they actually took the average hourly earnings too, and that said that those went up. Okay. That our average earnings went up. What they didn't, kind of parse out on that was that the average hours worked dropped. Okay. But the average per hour earned went up slightly.
Hey, man. It's all about perspective.
So it's like people were changing jobs and they went from making $12 an hour to making $13 an hour, but instead of working 40 hours a week, they're working 30. Mm-hmm. So their income either stayed the same or went down maybe a little bit, but their average hour per earning went up.
Or maybe they just let go of a third of the staff and paid the guys who stayed a little bit more money.
Well, and that's the thing is I saw something today. They were talking about continuing jobless claims. Like basically right now, if you lose your job, it is very hard to get another job.
Yeah.
Now you can go work at DoorDash. You can go work at Sonic. You can go work at all the service stuff. And by the way, if you want to get a job work for the government, you want to know who the biggest employer for the job gains were?
Who's that?
The federal government.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Second was healthcare. Okay. And third was services. Services, hospitality being like restaurants, fast food, service, all that kind of stuff. So, and the biggest gain in jobs was not full-time jobs. Full-time jobs were lost. It was part-time jobs.
For sure.
So
absolutely,
jobs are up, but people are working part-time. They're working 2 jobs. They're making less money. And if they get laid off from their good job, they can't get another one.
Yeah. Well, the price of
groceries,
gas,
continues to go up.
Continues to go up.
And the biggest sector that's getting hammered by job losses right now is the tech sector.
Yeah.
And why is that? We just talked about it.
Yeah, man. Because ultimately, for me, well,
why are all those people losing their jobs? If you're a software programmer, if you're any kind of, you got your 4-year degree, CPA, why are you losing your job right now?
Man, I feel like because number one, you're costing the company a ton of money at your high income position.
And what's their alternative?
Go somewhere else and go overseas?
No. What is the company's alternative?
Oh yeah, let you go.
And how do they replace you?
They get somebody, farmed out or something like that, or AI.
There you go.
There you go.
That's it. They have taken, so when AI first came out, everybody was worried about them taking trucker jobs and all these like blue collar. They have decimated the white collar. Like when you look at companies like Facebook, they've laid off thousands and thousands of people and have cut their costs dramatically, which is why their cost per share has gone up.
It was like either 9 or 19,000 people that Facebook had laid off.
Oh, it's
last year.
It's more than that.
Really?
Yes. And it keeps growing every single day because they overhired during the pandemic because they had so much traffic to the sites because people were staying at home.
Yeah.
And so they brought in a bunch of people to help manage all this. And then now with the advent of AI and being able to, because it's rapidly grown.
Yeah.
So now they're bringing in these chat bots and these different software bots that can do most of what they need to do. And they're laying off all those people.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So why is this important to real estate? Okay. What does this have to do with anything? Well, it has to do with the fact that if you look at just the base numbers right now, it seems like the economy is just blowing and going. Okay. It looks amazing. But the underlying stuff is telling us that it's not as good as you think.
That's a different story.
That's a different story. And the reason why the Fed is telling us that they're going to start cutting rates this year is because regardless of what they say about a soft landing, they feel like that the market is going to take a shift and going to take a turn. Whether it be, if you look at commercial real estate right now, which is really sucking wind, right? Because people cannot get those reset on those loans that they had before, and they're not paying them, and small banks are going to be struggling on that very, very quickly. So you're going to see an influx of that. You do have a large segment of the population that's getting laid off from their employment. So this sounds like bad. You're like, oh, Mike, you told us earlier not to get into the bad stuff.
Doom and gloom. Here it is.
Here it is. Okay. But why is this good? Well, this is good because this is good for interest rates. Okay. Because when the economy starts to suffer, the way that the Fed adjusts and tries to get it back on the uptick is they lower rates, because if they put money into the economy and drive commerce, then that will improve things. That's the idea, right? If it becomes cheaper to borrow money, more people will do stuff. Not to mention the federal government can't keep paying 6% rates on their money, because we're at, something like 20 trillion in debt. So that's a whole other thing.
Luckily, the debt, majority of it is on fixed rate as opposed to,
but they're short-term fixed rates.
That's true.
So they turn over, the T-bills turn over every 5, 7, 10 years whenever you issue them. So then in order to get more debt bought, which is why we're actually bringing our debt load down, because they don't have a market to buy those. But so as rates start to come down, all the people right now that like we talked about in the beginning, that you were talking to, that were saying, I'm waiting to see where rates are going to go, or the builders, giving me a better buy down rate, or whatever the case may be. As you start to see that tick down, which we've already seen, because your business has picked up, my business has picked up. Everybody, if you're watching this and you're a realtor in the market, your business has started to grow, right? Well, as that happens, more people get into the market, right? And last year was our worst year in real estate that we've had in 30 years. Something like that. And did home prices go down? Nope. They went up.
Sure didn't.
And in this area, they went up like 6%. Okay. So if that's the case, if we had our worst time in the history of the country in real estate, right? When rates were at 8% for a good chunk of the time. All right. And now we're moving into an environment where rates are starting to come down, and we still don't have enough inventory, because we don't. Then what is that going to do to home prices?
Yeah, man, it's going to shoot them up some more. I mean, ultimately, people are going to jump back in, and they're going to be confident because they're solely looking on the rate. Whether you ignore the economy or what's going on, they're going to look at that rate and say, rates are down, it's time to buy.
Yes. Well, because it's not down for everybody, by the way, and good or bad or whatever. This is just the truth. When the economy takes a dip and goes south, it affects more people on the lower end of the economic scale than it does on the higher end. Okay. And again, good, bad, or otherwise, right now, most homeowners, people that can buy a home because home prices are insanely high, are economically secure in most cases.
Which is why you see one of the reasons why you see most of the home builders building closer to the median, price point, as opposed to the lowest price point. You're going to have $500,000 be kind of your starters for most of these neighborhoods close to it. You know what I mean? Because that's people who have the equity, who have the money, they're more stable, and the ones that are able to afford to buy these homes. And that's where they can get the most bang for their buck on the profit.
Yeah. And the builders are offering tons of incentives, which, by the way, just, and this is a jealous girlfriend kind of a thing, because builders beat us often because of all the stuff that they're throwing money. Look, when people are throwing cash at you, it's like, what is that? Indecent Proposal with Demi Moore? She's rolling around on the bed with all the cash. Like, that's why I feel like borrowers that show up to builders, that's what it is. Like, they have a bed and they're just pouring cash on it. Like, you like this, right?
I'm telling you.
But here's where, and you could tell me if I'm wrong on this. This is how I feel about it. Do what you got to do to get into a house, number one. Okay. Whatever you got to do. Number two, though, when it comes to builders, you're not getting that money for free. Okay. There's always a cost, and builders build comps on houses that they sell in their neighborhoods. Okay. So when they get a couple of homes sold and establish a comp level, then other homes can get priced out. But if you were going to buy that same house in a different neighborhood with the same footprint and everything else, you're probably paying 20% more for that house than you are otherwise. Which is fine if the plan is that you're going to be there for a while.
Right.
Okay. But I'm telling you right now, if you buy a new build today or yesterday or a month ago, and then something happens, you get a job change, you have something go down, and then you have to sell that property within a year or two, you're gonna have a really, really hard time getting your money back on that deal.
And I tell people, man, it's like you got to really assess your situation. You can't just go in here blind because it looks good, it's nice, it's new, and it feels good.
Yeah.
You got to assess your situation. What's the long-term goal for anybody who does do it? We do try to help with new construction. We try to make sure that they understand, these are the risks also with new construction. So if you're going to take this on, make sure you plan on being here. I'm telling folks, you guys stay here at least 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
Don't call me before then. If you do, just know that there's a chance that you might not get your money back.
Yeah.
So
because those incentives are built into the price in many ways.
That's right. That's right.
And even the rate buy downs, that's another thing I always warn people to watch on that, is because there are two types of buy downs. And I've done videos on these plenty of times. There's permanent buy downs and temporary buy downs.
We'll put those in the comments also.
Yes. So if you go to a builder and they're offering 4.99% when everybody else is at 7%, that's probably a temporary buy down, most likely. Now, if they're offering 6%, sometimes they'll pay enough to get that to where it's a permanent. But ask the question, because unfortunately, which is why it's important when you go to a builder to go with a realtor. Number one,
absolutely,
is when you go to visit a builder, you need to go with your realtor, because there are questions that they're going to ask that you're not going to think of asking, because you're going to walk in. And this is human nature. You're going to walk in the builder. You're going to see the house. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. I love this, especially when you go into the spec homes, because they got it designed and looking sharp, right?
Yep.
Love this house. It's great. They give you the price, which you're not really thinking about. I want to know my payment. What's my payment, right? Well, the insurance is low because you got a brand new roof, so your insurance is going to be a little bit less. If the builder's good, they'll at least tell you, hey, here's the payment with the taxes and what they're going to be in a year or two.
Not what they are now.
Not what they are now, because if they tell you what the price on the taxes are right now, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable.
I can afford that.
I can easily afford that. And then you call Mike after a year of owning the house when you have it built. You're like, why did my taxes go up $700? Because of unimproved taxes. So watch out for that. And then they give you the rate at 4.99 and say that your payment is this. And again, this is human nature. You heard everything that you wanted to hear. You saw the best house. Yeah, the price sounded a lot, but when you saw the payment, you're like, oh, I can easily do that. Yeah. Right? What you don't think about or realize or contemplate is that your taxes are going to go up. Insurance is going to go up. If you got a temporary buy down, your rate is going to go up, right? And all of those things are going to come into play. So again, take a realtor with you to help you navigate this stuff. If it makes sense and the deal makes sense, go for it, because you can save you a lot of cash, because they're giving you 10 or 15 grand. And they say, we're going to give you a fridge. Like, does it? Okay. Or was it, they're going to give you a dishwasher like that? I thought the house usually comes.
And you're talking to a builder too. So like, I am a builder, so I understand the price points, the profit margins, the markups. Yeah. I understand all of this. And I try to tell folks, it's like, man, you got to go in there with your agent, because not even just before you even get to the rate and the payment and all of this, talk about the price of the house.
Yes.
And all the things that they're going to throw at you. Hey, you can take X amount of dollars, or we'll just give you this flooring, which is this much. We'll give you this, which is this much. We'll give you this, it's 10 grand, 5 grand here. And I'm going in telling folks, don't get that.
No, take the cash.
Take that cash.
Yeah, that's $2,500. I can do that for
dollar benefit. Yeah, they're probably going to give you that in that amount, but they're going to charge you 2.5 times more to put that same flooring down that somebody else could come in and do after the fact. So, I mean, picking a lot, exterior, on the end, cul-de-sac, corner lot, bigger lot, treed lot, backs up to a creek. And then you're paying a lot premium for it, which is 10, 15, 20 grand on top of the price.
They don't tell you that.
20 lot premium is literally just money that you're paying extra to be there.
Right. That's it.
There's no value other than that.
Yes.
And who determines that? The builder.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What's it worth to me? What do I think it's worth? We'll charge you 20 something for this. We'll charge you 50 for this. That's just extra money on top. Like, why am I taking that when I know that, okay, well, if this isn't my forever home, maybe I can take an interior lot with little to no lot premium. So I don't have to pay just extra money out of my pocket on top of the price and have that property appraised. And now I need the rate buy down in order to make sure that the sucker's going to qualify the first year to get me through my close. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're stretching too hard for that stuff. Like, just get what's given and then turn around and take the money.
Well, and by the way, since you said forever home, if you're under the age of 50 it's probably not going to be your forever home. Just so you know, right? If you're under the age of 50, the likelihood that that's actually going to be your forever home is slim to none. All right, because especially if you have kids, or you have, don't have kids, especially, like, life changes a lot
these days. Job transfers, different situations. Hey, people just don't want to own sometimes, and they just want to get out and take some cash and just sit tight and see what's going on. Like, there's different reasons. You don't have to be like, hey, I'm not in a family situation, so I'm not going to move. No, your job could be shipped out. You could be working from home, or get a different offer where you could work from home, and you're like, all right, I don't really want to be here all the time. Maybe I should get something smaller.
Well, and at the end of the day, this all goes back to, and I knew we'd go off on a bunch of different tangents because I had a bunch of stuff on here too, but this all goes back to when we talk about, very back to the beginning of the buy the house, date the rate crap. Look,
which we'll put those videos in
the comments. We'll put those there too.
I'll find some.
But buying real estate, and I never use superlatives or absolutes and say it's always, or, but man, it's really tough not to.
It's hard
when you talk about real estate. It's really hard not to say it's always a good investment if given enough time, right?
Yeah.
Given enough time, it's
buy real estate and wait. You have to say that, and wait.
And wait. Well, because I mean, like you said, the house, I have 50% equity in my house that I bought in 2000 and when was that? We've been there since, so it's like 2017, I think, is when we bought it. 2016. I have over 50% equity in my house. Tomorrow, if I want to sell it. And you could say, well, that was the greatest time in the history of the world in real estate, blah, blah, blah. It's true. That's absolutely true. Is that guaranteed to happen again? No, certainly not. But you go back far enough, and we have plenty of periods of time where those things happen.
Where you had surges that shot people's appreciation up. Absolutely.
And even still, even the times where you didn't get 20% equity or 20% appreciation, you're getting 3, you're getting 5. You're getting tax deduction. You're getting the expense, which is the biggest expense for you living, or for in your life, is living in your residence, whatever that is. That is something that is at least, you're paying a lot of interest. Okay, for sure. All right, it's a 30-year loan. There's a lot of interest in that thing. All right, there's ways to mitigate that too, but at least you're not paying someone else's mortgage.
Exactly.
Okay, because when you're renting, you are paying someone else's mortgage. Everybody that rents from no hate on you, Conrad.
Hey.
But everybody that's renting for Conrad is paying Conrad's mortgages.
It is.
Yes.
It is. And that's why it's like, all right, well, over time, this is going to be solid for me. Like, to me, rental real estate, when I'm looking at it, that's magic to me. Okay, I can purchase the house, never live in it, have somebody pay the mortgage off, and at the same time, the value's going up. To me, it's magic.
It has no expense to you. It's a massive tax deduction. And in 10 or 20 years or 30 years, whenever you decide to hang it up, you could sell that thing, or you could sell it when you get it paid off and get more cash and go buy more real estate. I mean, there's just so many things that you can do with it that for the person with money that doesn't want to invest in stocks, they just want to have it be basic. I want to have my 401k. I don't want to play around in crypto or buy and sell day trading.
You don't want to spend $20,000 for an NFT.
Doing all that crap. Like, you don't want to mess with it. I get it, right? Buy homes. That's the best place to put your money.
That's right.
And the rates are going to change. They're going to go up. They're going to go down. You can't predict it. You don't know where it's going to head. Now, you have to make a decision. You can't put yourself in an unaffordable, situation where you're buying a house that you just can't afford.
Right.
Like, don't do something stupid.
No.
Right. But if you're stretching a little bit, I mean, when you bought your first house, could you afford it? Maybe based on what you knew?
Barely.
Same thing.
Barely.
Right. I can make it work, but it's like, man, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And then when I bought my second house, I was like, damn, how am I going to do this?
Yep.
Right. Yep. And then you get to third and fourth, you're like, okay, well, every single time I've always been like, damn, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, because there was the whole thing back in, what was it, 08, where they were like, oh, you'll figure it out. You'll make more money one day. It'll be fine. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, if you have to stretch a little bit beyond where your comfort zone is, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're in real estate, man, real estate will give you some jewels to take over the long term. Just the main thing that most people forget is time. Time is one of the most important parts of that equation. If you can wait in that time when you're buying this real estate, it will pay you back.
Yeah.
And some.
And the point of this entire conversation that Conrad and I had today was simply to say to you that if you are out there selling homes, if you're helping buyers and sellers, you're a real estate agent and you're out there doing the Lord's work every day, okay? Then
preaching the gospel.
Yes. Then you need to understand this stuff, okay? Because all of the agents, the 60,000 agents or 100,000 agents that
Yeah.
left the business last year,
Yeah.
okay, they don't understand these things. They don't understand why the rates go down. They don't understand what impact that has on the pricing. They don't understand that although there can be short time horizons where real estate values decline, you only take a loss when you sell. So if you're having to sell when the market's down, yeah, you're going to be in a bad spot.
Absolutely.
But if not, you can wait it out. You can persevere. You're still going to make it's going to make up in the long term.
And just look, a lot of people we're creatures of habit, right?
Sure.
So we go home the same way, we do everything the same, we kick it around the same people, we go to the same places, we did the same restaurants, right? But when you're out in your day, just out on the roads, look around.
Yeah.
You notice there's dirt moving.
Yeah.
There's big construction trucks and concrete being poured. And what are they building? Property, building buildings, building assets.
Yep.
Somebody's spending millions of dollars to build your grocery stores or your restaurants, your warehouses. Okay, well, if it costs millions upon millions to build those, why are they doing that?
Yes.
Because they believe that sucker's going to be an asset long term.
Yeah. Well, this is a great example. So, Drive Nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Drive Nation is started by Jermaine O'Neal, who used to play NBA and for the Indiana Pacers. He started Drive Nation, which is they do volleyball and basketball. Okay. I know it because I'm there for volleyball all the time, and I'm sure you're there for basketball. So how much do you think that facility costs to build?
Man, I want to say $7 million.
Okay.
I think I looked it up.
Okay.
Back in the
seven.
day. That was maybe that was projected.
Okay.
When they were doing the development.
So let's say it was 7 to 10 million.
Yeah.
Right. It's probably the building right now is probably worth 20. Would you say? Okay. So Jermaine O'Neal, not him, but him and his group go in. They build a $7 to $10 million facility over on this property by the airport. It's massive. It's awesome. It's nice. It's wonderful. What did they not own?
The dirt.
The dirt. They did not own the dirt. They had a lease. Mm-hmm. They had a 30-year lease on that dirt. And then last year, the airport, which is its own little city, what'd they do?
Man, I didn't hear about that.
They came in and said,
we're canceling your...
Yes.
I didn't hear about that.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
This year's the last year for Drive Nation.
Ooh. That hurts. Such a popular place.
Yes. Now, this is my most latest news. So if I'm wrong and that's changed, please let me know. But
put that in the comments also.
Yes. But
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Ooh. So they did not own the dirt. Own the dirt. That's if I have to leave you with anything on this.
Don't build a $7 million building.
Yes.
And not own the dirt below.
Don't rent the dirt. Own the dirt. Don't build a business if you don't own the land. Don't open a company if you don't own the land. And there's a reason behind that. So to say that putting your money into real estate is a bad investment under any circumstances, to me, is completely ignorant.
Oh man, that hurts. Now I gotta go look that up.
Yes. No, it's brutal. So, all right. Well, we're an hour. We could talk for 7 hours. This could go on forever, and eventually people are gonna get sick listening.
I wonder if that's why our second graders aren't playing at Drive Nation this weekend. They were supposed to.
Well, I mean, we just played there a couple weekends ago, so it's still functioning or whatever. But from what I understand, this is it. This is the last year. So, all that to say, buy real estate, as Mark Twain said, because they're not making any more of it.
And wait.
and tell your clients this, help them understand. Don't tell them to date the rate. Just explain to them how interest rates work and what they do and how real estate works. And the bottom line of real estate is that it always goes up.
I'm going to find like 15 of those date the rate videos and post them in the comments.
Yes.
Right after each other.
Yes. Don't buy the home.
If viewers out there doing those, I'm going to find you and I'm going to put it in the comments.
I think I even said when they were coming out, I made a video a while back where I was like, look, I hate this statement because I just hate cliched statements. They drive me crazy. It wasn't, even at the time, it wasn't necessarily that I disagreed with the sentiment of it. It was just like, I just hate.
We're going to find you.
It's like, I don't like, and no offense to anybody says this, but I don't like living the dream. When I ask somebody like, what are you doing? Living the dream. Okay. Everybody says that.
All right, enough.
Yeah. All right.
So if that's you. You've been warned.
That's it.
Don't say that around.
Don't tell me you've been living the dream. We're all living the dream, man. We're all living the dream. All right, guys. Everybody have a great weekend. Sorry that we rambled on talking about Mavericks and all kinds of other weird stuff today, and the economy and China and chips and rates and my voice. I was coughing on every 5 minutes, but hopefully it was entertaining because that's ultimately the goal. So
there you go.
We'll be back to our regular scheduled program next weekend. I've got a market update on Tuesday. We're all actually. Did you listen to my last one? I told my first home loan story.
I did.
Okay.
I did.
So if you haven't heard,
I listened to part of it.
Okay. So if you haven't heard that one, go back and listen to it. Little twist at the end. So check that out. I'll have an actual market update next week where we talk about some stories. I've got a bunch of big things with more investment. I can't use words right now. More institutional. Sorry.
Stuck on that date the rate slogan.
More institutional buyers coming into the market. I got some more stats on housing that I'll go through. And then on Thursday next week, I'll do another live with a home inspector, Nathan Ross. He's with Site Guard Inspection. He's going to be talking about what to look for home inspections, what you need to pay attention to, how to talk to your buyers about them.
I'll be chimed in on that one.
And then also, because we touched on this today, why it's so important to get inspections for new builds. So all that will be important. So tune in for that. And otherwise, I will see you guys on the flip side. So everybody have a great week.
Adios.
Thanks, Conrad, as always, buddy.
Of course.
You'll be back.
I'll be back.